It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Thursday breakfast, Thursday edition, of course. And this is a program that comes to you every weekdays in the morning from about 07 hours. We do have Patrick and Miriam on Mondays and Tuesdays, and of course Wednesdays. Today it's Patrick and me, and tomorrow it's of course Prudence with a breakfast, business for breakfast, of course. This morning we have quite a number of interesting items that we are looking at in the stories that we'll be zooming in, and of course we are going to be having an interview in the interview segment where we're going to be talking to Zika to discuss issues surrounding those matters, and also we are going to be looking at issues to do with health in the first segment, and also we are going to be looking at how the kwacha is trending against other major convertibles, and we'll talk a bit of some sports before we leave. So that's what you expect to see on this program this morning. And if you are at home, you want to get in touch with us, you can go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and drop your message on this particular broadcast because it is live. Leave your comments in the comments section. We'll be more than happy to see what you think about what you're looking at this particular morning. I'm not alone in the studio as usual. I do have my colleague, my co-presenter, Patrick Soko. Patrick, it's a beautiful Thursday morning. Welcome.
Indeed, it is a beautiful Thursday morning, and thanks. And we can only tapping into the positivity of Miriam Kaimba. As usual, we're keeping it positive on the Camnet Breakfast Show. Like you alluded to, we have a fully packed program, and hoping that our viewers will be able to engage and also give us their perspective. Interesting enough, we have unfolding developments pertaining to the economic situation, where we've seen the Bank of Zambia continue to take drastic measures to just control inflation, and this has been cited as going to affect the economy by many economists and other governance actors. So we are going to delve into that a little later as we're resuming the stories. But first of all, let's get started with the health corner with the doctors.
Hi, welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show on Camnet TV. I am Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya. This week we have been talking about hypertensive heart disease, and we discovered that hypertensive heart disease is a condition that comes when you have elevated blood pressure for a very long time. That leads to complications in the heart and causes the heart muscles to become bigger in size, and it can also cause certain damage to the arteries of the heart that can cause a heart attack or myocardial infarction. We also say that hypertensive heart disease can have certain symptoms like back pain, chest pain most of the time, which feels like a heaviness in the chest, or it feels like there's a squeezing pain in the chest. It can radiate to the back and also to the arm as well, the left arm. Then you can also have other symptoms like palpitations in the heart and swelling of the feet. We also say that hypertensive heart disease can be diagnosed in the hospital using a scan for the heart called an echocardiogram and an ECG that can help to show how well the heart is functioning, and if there's any dysfunction in the heart, it will be able to tell and show whether you have hypertensive heart disease or not. We also say that hypertensive heart disease can be managed with some medications, mostly the medications that help to reduce blood pressure in the body and also reduce your cholesterol and reduce your blood from forming clots in the body. So today we'll talk about the lifestyle modifications that you need to do certain things that you can do at home to reduce your blood pressure if you already have hypertension, and also to prevent yourself from having hypertension or hypertensive heart disease. So number one is that you need to reduce the amount of salt that you eat at home. If you eat too much salt in your food, you are at risk of having hypertension. So reduce the salt that you eat. If you already have hypertension, then you need to reduce your the salt intake, because it will help to reduce your blood pressure. The second thing is that you need to be able to include a lot of vegetables and fruits in your diet. Mostly you want to include fruits that have high potassium, because potassium can help to reduce your blood pressure. Foods like oranges, bananas, tomatoes, avocados are rich in potassium and should be included in your diet to reduce your risk, or to reduce your blood pressure or your risk of having hypertension. The other thing that you need to do at home is that if you take alcohol, you need to reduce on your alcohol intake, because alcohol can increase your risk of having hypertension, or even increase your hypertension your blood pressure if you already have hypertension. The other thing that can be done is that you need to reduce your weight. If you are a person who is obese, or you are overweight more than you're supposed to, then you need to reduce your weight, because obesity is a risk factor for many other diseases apart from hypertension. It can increase your risk of having diabetes, renal conditions, and even heart disease itself. So you need to reduce on your weight if you are obese or overweight. The other thing is that you need to be able to keep an active lifestyle. You need to be more active in your life. If you do not exercise, then it's time for you to start exercising. There are so many other things that you can do in place of exercising. You don't only have to go to the gym, but you can ride a bike, take a walk, and do certain things like dancing at home that can help to increase your activity levels every day. You do not have to sit the whole day with work. People are seated most of the times in their offices, and if you don't work in an office, then maybe you're at home most of the time and you're just seated. But you need to be able to get up and do some physical activity, because it's important for your heart healthy and also for your body itself. It needs to be healthy and it needs to be active. So these are some of the things that you can do to prevent yourself from having hypertension. You can do these things to prevent yourself from having so many other complications or other conditions in your body. So this has been the talk on hypertensive heart disease and how you can reduce hypertensive heart disease, or even reduce your blood pressure if you are already hypertensive, or reduce your risk of having a progression of hypertensive heart disease or any other condition, because it helps to reduce the effects of these diseases in the body. So you can exercise, you can reduce your salt intake, and eat more fruits and vegetables in your diet. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you have learned something. I'll see you again next week.
Welcome back. There you have it. That was the Health Corner, our first segment. And right about now, we'll move straight into our next segment, which is the money markets, where we get to understand how the kwacha is performing this morning. Kozi.
Yes, we now get to see how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. We start with the Great British Pound, which is buying at 28 kwacha 93 ngwe and selling for 29 kwacha 50 ngwe, and the euro is buying for 25 kwacha 19 ngwe and selling for 25 kwacha 69 ngwe. The South African rand is buying for 1 kwacha 24 ngwe and selling for 1 kwacha 26 ngwe. The United States dollar is buying for 23 kwacha 14 ngwe and selling for 23 kwacha 60 ngwe. So these are the money markets as updated today, the 23rd of November 2023 at exactly 0717. Now do remember that the rates might change from bureau to bureau. But usually the difference is not that much, but that's an idea of the rates at this particular morning. Patrick, interesting to see that now we have gone to the 23 mark.
Indeed, we are on the 23 mark, and on the selling side, you can see that we are almost going to 24. And this is quite unacceptable, and that shows how bad things are in our economy. And we are hoping that they'll put the right interventions. However, we saw the Bank of Zambia was intervening with the press conference yesterday, and they indicated the changes in the reserve ratios, where they have statutory reserve ratio, where they have increased, and we saw the monetary policy rate also being increased, and they are saying this is in a way to regulate the economy and make sure that they strengthen the kwacha, or they add value to the kwacha. But however, if you look at it, really it is having a negative effect in our economy, because people are saying there's no money, and now that measure will also further worsen the situation. And we can only hope for the best, but on the other side, the central bank says it is part of its mandate to intervene. But on the other side, the Minister of Finance also has to be responding to help the central bank.
Sure. So speaking of which, now let's quickly get to zooming in some of the stories that we have this morning, and the first one is coming from the central bank, of course, looking at issues to do with the monetary policy rate. And it says the Bank of Zambia has raised the monetary policy rate by 100 basis points in the fourth quarter of 2023, the highest this year. Now, speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka Wednesday, Bank of Zambia Governor Dr. Denny Kalyaria says the policy rate has been increased to 11%, compared to 10% recorded in the third quarter this year. This means people and businesses will have to pay a higher interest on loans and mortgages. Now, Dr. Kalyaria says the upward adjustments in the policy rate is due to inflationary pressure, which is projected to remain above the target range of 6 to 8%, as well as the depreciation of the kwacha. Now, another story says a Lusaka business, a small-scale entrepreneur, has predicted tough times ahead following the increment in the statutory reserve ratio by the Bank of Zambia. Now, Masanga Mukerabai says the move by the central bank may result in commercial banks increasing interest rates, which he says choke small-scale entrepreneurs. Now, an economist, Kelvin Chisanga, says the increase in the statutory ratio will negatively impact the financial market, which will in turn affect production. Let's have a look at these two stories.
With Zambia grappling with a high inflation rate, poor performing exchange rate, and reduced liquidity in the economy, the Bank of Zambia has increased the policy rate by 100 basis points from 10% in the third quarter of 2023 to 11% in the fourth quarter this year. This means that people and businesses will have to pay higher interest on loans and mortgages. Bank of Zambia Governor Dr. Denny Kalyalia, who briefed the media in Lusaka Wednesday, now explains the reason that has necessitated the increase in the policy rate.
The MPC decided to raise the monetary policy rate by 100 basis points to 11% due to current and projected inflation moving further away from the 6 to 8% target value. The committee judged that if left unchecked, inflation will become anchored at above target levels, thereby making it harder to achieve macroeconomic stability.
And despite the challenge, the governor says economic growth has been projected to increase to 4.3% in the fourth quarter of 2023 compared to the earlier projection of 2.7%.
Best message is that the prospects are good. Like I said now, when you say that you are doing this, no, we want that to continue in a robust and sustainable way. Because if we don't address inflation, it's a matter of time that also gets eroded.
Meanwhile, the governor has indicated that Zambia is good at formulating policies while its implementation has remained poor, which has contributed to the poor performance of the economy.
We have very good plans, but the implementation of those plans falters. We start some things very well, but stay in power, we don't have the slightest problem, we abandon, we go to this. We like taking this one.
We are addressing or deploying these tools to deal with the problem which is in front of us. But I think even in the statement we do recognize that there is a lot which is going on in the background. There is a lot of work which is going on the fiscal side, there's a lot of work which is going on in terms of restructuring and trying to boost exports, especially in the regional area. There's a lot which is going on in terms of trying to improve the infrastructure for us to boost those exports. But these things take time.
And the bank has for the third time this year revised the statutory reserve ratio to 17% from 14.5% recorded earlier this month in a bid to contain inflationary pressure and the further depreciation of the Zambian kwacha. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambian kwacha has continued losing value against major convertible currencies such as the United States dollar. To contain foreign exchange pressure on the Zambian kwacha, the Bank of Zambia has increased the minimum reserve ratios held by the commercial banks from 14.5% to 17% days after the central bank revised it from 11.5% to 14.5%. This has brought fear to some small-scale entrepreneurs such as Masanga Mkerabai.
For small, medium enterprises, yes, they'll be very much affected because, capital is not easy to find. Yes, I myself, I started off as an entrepreneur. Capital, I can tell you, is not the easiest of things to find out there. So maybe perhaps us, small entrepreneurs would have to go to the bank to get a loan, but, what are the chances? A lot of businesses will be affected in terms of capital generation, one, also cash flow. If money is reduced, circulation has reduced in the economy, in the society, it only means we are fighting against the few money that has remained in society itself.
Meanwhile, economist Kelvin Chisanga has weighed in on how this move by the Bank of Zambia will further affect the economy.
What we have right now is that we've got a low economic profile. We need liquidity. Already there is squeezed liquidity as we speak. So now, coming up with this constraint measure, meaning that our growth pattern and production won't be able to match up with what we are looking forward to achieve. And much of what I would say is that even when you look at the financial market, some small banks, because of this requirement, they won't be able to meet up the operational requirements, meaning that they can even be put out of the market. And what we need to do is to look at how best can we also stop the offshore auctions that are currently taking place to actually beef up the performance of the kwacha.
In recent months, the kwacha has been performing poorly against convertible currencies such as the United States dollar, which as at close of business Wednesday, November 22nd, was trading at around 23 kwacha 57 ngwe. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
So those are the first two stories that we are zooming in this particular morning. Of course, talking about the monetary policy rate that was reviewed yesterday by the central bank, and also some entrepreneurs and the financial expert giving their thoughts to that particular move by the central bank. You can also give us your thought on what you think about that particular move by the central bank, so that we get to know also what you think about that particular matter. There are still quite a number of stories that we are looking at this particular morning as we move ahead. Now this week there has been a story that has been trending, a story that has made headlines from Mufurila in Kankoyo, to be specific, where a boy was shot and killed by ZNS, suspected ZNS officers in Mufurila. And that story has raised quite some talking points this week as we are looking at it. Now, government has expressed concern at the shooting of a 15-year-old boy in Mufurila's Kankoyo area on the Copper Belt. Now, Copper Belt Provincial Minister Elisha Matambo says the use of live ammunition on an unarmed boy is unjustifiable, hence the need to investigate the issue quickly. Now, Acting Minister of Information and Media, Engineer Collins Nzovu, says government is in receipt of a letter from Council of Churches in Zambia on the number of issues and is willing to dialogue with the church. Another story says human rights advocate Wesley Mianda says thorough investigations have to be instituted to bring to book perpetrators without any trace of favor in the shooting incident of a 15-year-old boy of Kankoyo area by Zambia National Service officers. Now, Mr. Mianda says the killing of Crispin Wunda, who was a pupil at Twampane Primary School, is an act of criminality and inhuman, which he says must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. Now, he says the intention to contain smuggling of mini meal and other essential goods into neighboring countries is commendable, but however, should not lead to loss of lives. Let's look at these two stories again.
On Monday, 20th November 2023, the country was gripped with emotions as news of a 15-year-old boy in Kankoyo Township of Mufulira in Copper Belt Province was allegedly shot dead by a Zambia National Service ZNS officer. According to Copper Belt Police Commanding Officer Piswa Mwemba, the incident that took the life of the 15-year-old in Kankoyo Township when the alleged ZNS officers were conducting an anti-smuggling operation in the area at a house suspected to be harboring the mealie meal. To this extent, the government has expressed concern that the shooting of the 15-year-old boy is unjustifiable and is demanding for quick investigations into the matter. Copper Belt Province Minister Elisha Matambo says using live ammunition on a boy or person who is not armed should not even be part of the options for any operation. Mr. Matambo also cautioned politicians to stop politicizing the death of the juvenile.
What transpired, and as Minister for Copper Belt Province, I've asked the wings to investigate thoroughly and tell the nation and all of us exactly what transpired. I also want to put it on record that government through ZNS has taken over the expense of the funeral.
Meanwhile, on 10th November 2023, the Zambia Conference of Bishops issued the pastoral letter where a number of pertinent issues were observed ranging from the alleged shrinking democratic space to the higher cost of living. Acting Minister of Information and Media, Engineer Collins Nzovu, has acknowledged receiving a letter from the Council of Churches in Zambia. Engineer Nzovu says the government is more than ready to dialogue with the church.
Government appreciates the statement and further notes that issues raised therein by the CCZ are largely similar to those recently raised by the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops. In this regard, government wishes to reiterate and reaffirm its unwavering commitment to dialogue with all stakeholders, including the church, on important national matters. To this effect, Zambians may wish to note that government has already begun to actualize the process of dialogue as earlier stated in the last media briefing not too long.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
During the 10 years of Patriotic Front leadership, about 14 people were killed in circumstances difficult to explain. Mapenzi Chibulom, Lawrence Banda, all UPND members, Frank Mugala, a pupil, Joseph Kaunda, also a UPND member, and Samansama, a state prosecutor, were among other citizens who lost their lives to what was tagged as police brutality. Just when everyone started barring such incidents as bygones, a fresh similar incident has come ashore. About a day ago, a 15-year-old boy of Umfulira's Kankoyo Township was shot dead by Zambia National Service ZNS officers during an operation aimed at curbing smuggling of meal. Human rights advocate Wesley Miandam says the thorough investigations have to be instituted to bring to book the perpetrators without any trace of favor.
The incident of someone losing life. We have actually lost one life where one boy aged 15 years by the name of Crispin Bunda lost his life because he was shot at by ZNS guys. To make the matters worse, what they've done is to drive away with bags of meal that were confiscated from another shop, leaving behind the body of a deceased. That is being inhuman, and we really condemn that.
Meanwhile, United Party for National Development, UPND Deputy Secretary General Gertrude Menda, without saying much, says the incident is unjustifiable and unfortunate.
All I can say that it is regrettable. It is regrettable that an accident happened in the process of trying to curb smuggling. I can't say much. It's just very unfortunate that a loss of life. But to say we saw this happen in PF, what, and so on, this is really an accident. And it can't be justified, but an accident is an accident.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Thank you very much. So those are the other two stories that we are zooming in this particular morning. So if you have any contributions as regards those stories, you can get in touch with us by going to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and go to the comment section and leave your comments there. We'll be more than happy to see what you think about what we are looking at this particular morning. Patrick, what are some of the other stories that you're looking at this morning?
So quickly, before we go to our next interview, we are going to make sure that we also give you an update pertaining to some of the stories, which include the story where the Higher Education Loan Scholarship Board Restructure Campaign Committee has appealed to President Hakainde Hichilema to immediately revisit the loan policy. Committee coordinator David Chishimba says the current loan repayment period is perpetuating poverty of graduates who are having their salaries deducted massively. Another story is where residents of Lusaka's Kabanana Ward 27 have appealed to the Lusaka City Council to enhance the engineering department, to enhance the monitoring of projects under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. This follows the washing away of some new culverts which were installed on the road, which was graded by the Zambian National Service. this year. So we are going to look at these two stories, and the story where the Southern African Network Against Corruption has urged stakeholders to push for the reintroduction of Article 34(5)(b) of the 1996 Constitution, which mandated the Electoral Commission of Zambia to publicize the assets of presidential candidates. Let's have a look at these stories. We'll be back and we'll be ready for interview, and make sure that you contribute to the program.
The Higher Education Loan Scholarship Board, HELSB Restructuring Campaign Committee, has reminded President Hakainde Hichilema to honor his campaign promise of restructuring the public loan program. Whilst in opposition, President Hichilema promised to restructure the HELSB loan program, citing economic challenges of graduates, which has since not changed. Speaking during a press conference Wednesday morning, campaign coordinator David Chishimba complained that the current arrangement of the loan program is perpetuating poverty among graduates.
You promised us that immediately you are voted into office, you are going to restructure the loan policies because they were unfair. And many graduates voted based on that promise. We would like to know if that was just a campaign gimmick so that we stop referring to it in our pursuit for the restructure of the loan policies. However, we are inclined to believe that it wasn't a gimmick.
Mr. Chishimba was recently convicted for a loan protest over the same matter, says the committee will embark on another protest to State House to deliver a petition to the head of state to change the policy of the loan program.
Simply cannot allow us to have the protest, not because of security reasons or any ground, but because they just feel that they shouldn't allow us. We just hope they were joking, because our actions are provided for in the Constitution. Therefore, it's our democratic right to air our grievances in a way we see fit, as long as it's within the law. We have also indicated in the letter that should the police fail to grant us permission to go ahead, a bush protest is an option.
Government in 2012 decided to replace the national bursary scheme with student loans in a quest to make the program benefit more individuals, also answering to controversies that surrounded the awarding of bursary scheme, including corruption allegations. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Not too long ago, residents of Lusaka's Kabanana Ward 27 in Mandevu constituency were in fear of a possible disaster as the rain set. True to their fear, some newly installed culverts in the area on the road, which was worked on by the Zambia National Service, have allegedly been washed away. The residents fear that the poor workmanship on the said road and drainage system, which directs water to people's houses, is a danger to their livelihood. Some of the residents who trekked to the Lusaka City Council Engineering Department to seek an audience with the city fathers had this to say.
Drainage, like the direct manganda around. So infrastructure this disaster telling. Infrastructure for less than 20 minutes, but you must have a 1 hour left. You can't like it. To a show we pull under a contractor and ZNS, very folks solving a problem. So number tatu for umofusha to sanga because amanganda yaona
ya lodi vaisa fye mkoto now life so tulande ile infra ya loka fye 30 minutes kapana 20 minutes yaona ula mayanda yesu ha yaona ula matoilet ha amayanda yengina menshi so tulelomba kubuteko butulo shape
takuweme tulefu achimufolo chilabese bachifumye amenshi yekale filafine fo yale ikala yakwaleza pantu ni kale twaisako kumayanda tatuchula nombe chimufolo chalengo kuti tufike na kuno twalienda kuba chita approach
DNS engineers na vacanso engineers vapolitically pamozi na ife wa community so that twauze ba drainage pani yaenda because in a super income they need remaining affected so tipemba ZNS engineers vacanso na ife residents kale pamozi.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Joseph Katongo says he has engaged relevant authorities several times on the issue to no avail and hopes with such happenings the local authorities will be on their toes to address the plight of the people.
Meaning, even next year, we need to go back and start redoing the same thing. So meaning, we'll be wasting money on the same project. So even to avoid all those things, if we report issues, you know, I know people will say, no, but you're also part of council, why can't you? I've tried to report, and I've been saying this to say, if what I'm saying, or maybe I'm lying, someone can come and challenge me to say, okay, councillor, what you are saying, report. So for me, I've been reporting in these offices. Which office I haven't reported this issue? So my humble appeal is, instead of us wasting money on one project, let the right thing be done.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
From the fact that in the past, the Electoral Commission of Zambia was mandated by Article 34(5)(b) of the 1996 Constitution, which expressly subjected declared assets to public inspection. Unfortunately, this provision was removed by the Patriotic Front from the Constitution in the 2016 Constitution. And that is what has led to where we are currently. Now, going forward, I think all stakeholders must push for the reintroduction of this Article 34(5)(b) of the 1996 Constitution. Additionally, the declaration of assets, as suggested by Ambassador Gonzalez, should include other office bearers and as well as constitutional office holders such as judges and magistrates. And also we want to make another submission that a special gazette should be introduced where these declared assets are published every time that such a declaration is made, so that the general public will have access to such information.
Welcome back. There you have it. Those are some of the stories that were making the headlines on the Camnet main news last evening. In case you have comments to that story, remember you can always leave us a message on our Facebook platforms, our Facebook platform, as well as YouTube, where we are streaming our breakfast this morning. And those of you who can manage, you can anybody call us or send us a text. But right about now, we did assure you that we were going to have our interview today with ZIPA, and that's the Zambia Institute of Policy Research and Policy Analysis and Research, rather. And in studio, we've been fortunate to host Mr. Zali Chikuba, who is a ZIPA Senior Research Fellow. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Soko. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We are happy that you managed to honor our invitation. Our discussion today, we are looking around issues pertaining to mining, the future of mining in Zambia. That's the topic of a discussion. First of all, to just get started, we know that many people know that ZIPA is one of the policy think tanks that we have in this country. But there are always new people and those that may be coming to the country first time. First of all, just a brief introduction of what ZIPA is about.
Thank you. ZIPA is a quasi-government think tank established by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning to support government in the area of policy analysis. You know, when you have a blemish on the face, you may not be able to see it yourself. But if somebody were to look at your face, they might tell you exactly what blemish there is. So government formulates policies. So they needed an institution that is not sitting entirely within itself, but sits outside and is able to undertake credible and independent analysis and be able to advise government on how they can go about bettering on their policies. So we do undertake research in various areas. For research, we do undertake research in public finance, management. We do undertake research in the area of macroeconomics, in the area of transport and infrastructure development, in the area of human development, where we look at issues of welfare, social service provision. We do undertake research in the area of trade and investment, and also in the area of the emerging themes. You know, nowadays climate change, water and energy nexus are a big thing. So you also want to be sustainable in the way you undertake your extraction and production. So we do undertake research so that in all our production processes we are sustainable. So we advise government on policies that pertain to that. Then we are also mandated to undertake policy dialogue and dissemination. This is with a view to improve economic literacy in the public, so that when we are debating matters of the economy, people are well literate about the issues that are being discussed. They are so targeted, and you know, in these areas, it's not just about sentiments. It's about quintessence, very targeted and informed decisions. The economy is quite complex, so you cannot take economic dialogue lightly. You need to be quite deliberate and very analytical. So we do provide platforms where people come and debate, and then those debates are in many forms. Sometimes they are, for instance, in the manner of the Eminent Persons Forum that we are trying to host very soon. Today we should be hosting one. Tomorrow we should be hosting one. So we do undertake policy dialogue and dissemination in terms of conferences as well. We do undertake disseminations of our reports, and we allow people to dialogue with us when we're disseminating. We also intervene when there are public issues of public interest. For instance, issues of the inflation, rising inflation. We do provide opportunities for people to dialogue with us. Issues of, for instance, recently we were talking about the budget that has been articulated for 2024. We provided a forum for people to dialogue around that issue. So we also do provide capacity building training in terms of policy. So we do train many critical stakeholders. I'm sure you have attended one of the media trainings that we have undertaken to try and improve reporting on public finance management. We have trained parliamentarians, we have trained the controlling officers, the permanent secretaries. We have trained civil society organizations. So this is part of the mandate of ZIPA. So it's quite a broad mandate. Yes.
Now, I know that you have mentioned that you will be having a forum. But before we get to the forum itself, I just wanted to find out from you how you describe the mining sector in this country. I know that this country hugely depends on the sector. How would you describe the mining sector?
Well, the mining sector will remain one of the major anchors of this economy, in that it is the largest producer of or generator of forex for this country, because almost all you produce from the mines is exported. So and no other sector parallels it in terms of export performance. Now, that said, we have seen recently a decline in production of the mines. And you know, mines are long-term investments. You invest in a mine, you are not investing overnight and going away tomorrow. It may take you a long time to put up a plan, mobilize finances, and then begin the operations before you can begin to produce the mineral. It might actually be, you might have lead times of up to 5 years. Yeah. So decisions that give you the output today, they didn't start yesterday. They started way back. So when you see a change in the mining output today, you must also be aware that that's a result of decisions that occurred some time back. So, and sometimes you can have decisions that occurred yesterday, yes, impacting production today. That's acceptable, but I think those impacts will be minimal. So when you see the picture of the mining output or production today, it means that there were decisions that were made 2, 3, 4, 5 years that have impacted on the level of output today. And I can tell you that one of the biggest issues that we have had is that our decisions have not been consistent. So, and business doesn't like inconsistency. You need a stable environment to be able to forecast your production and your investments. So when you see that there is stagnation in the growth of a particular business area, it means that the policy may not have been favorable as one of the alternatives to explaining that sort of outcome. Or maybe the particular sector is no longer of demand. It's in the economy. It's not producing commodities that are no longer of demand in the economy. So, but now in terms of the mining sector, the main outputs of our mining sector, they are on high demand now. I think it's common knowledge that there's a huge drive for electric vehicle growth, the growth of the electric vehicle industry. Also the renewable energy industry uses a lot of the outputs from our mining sector. When you talk about the gemstone sector as well, you find that the demand is quite consistent. And you talk about the other non-traditional minerals like gold, the demand is quite consistent. So there's no question about the demand for the outputs of our sector. So what should then be the problem? I think the problem has to do with our policy environment. Yes.
No, my follow-up would be, we saw, for example, the Bank of Zambia was admitting to the fact that they have been getting less dollars from the mining sector in recent times, and they can no longer support the currency by injecting more dollars into the economy to support the strengthening of the kwacha or the stability of the kwacha. Hence, they are taking these other drastic measures that we saw, like for division of the monetary policy, the reserve ratio, and there's been concern that this is also further constraining the economy. However, the major concern I want to pick from you as a policy think tank is the aspect of people feel mining sector are getting incentives unnecessarily, and that the country is foregoing a lot of money, and that money should have been able to support the economy at this trying moment.
Yeah, I think there was a time when the government saw that the mining sector was not contributing a fair share of the revenue to the basket. And what we did then, I think between 2001, I think up to 2011 up to maybe 2021, was a lot of experimentation in the mining fiscal regime, trying to change this and that, trying to increase the taxes that are going to come to a mine. We introduced duties on the imports and of concentrates. We also made mineral royalty non-tax deductible. So these have been experiments to try and make the mines make a fair contribution to the treasury. But in so doing, I think at some point we went in the excess, because we need a fair and stable fiscal regime for businesses to operate. Once you disturb these two factors, fairness and steadiness, you are affecting investment itself. Yes, then in 2021, the government comes again at the transition. The government comes to try and correct some of those issues. And correction of an error that brought revenue to the treasury means that you're going to lose out on revenue. So the government made, for instance, mineral royalty tax deductible, and the government also eliminated duty. There was 5% duty on the concentrate. They eliminated that. So when you combine those, you find that the loss in terms of revenue coming from the mines to the treasury, yes, is huge. But the impact then is that you are expected to see a response in terms of new investment decisions from the mines. And then, but those decisions will not yield you the revenue immediately. So you will have lost revenue to the treasury. But the sort of decline in terms of the forex that the copper mines bring into the country has largely been because of the reducing minerals output. Copper has declined from the highs of about 800 that we had, and now is in the region of 600,000. But I told you already that for this to happen, there must have been decisions in the past. These are lagged effects of old decisions. What new investments were we having in the copper mines 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago that we should have expected to be increasing the output? Then we got into disputes with certain mine owners in this economy, and then those mines stopped producing. Then we also acquired Mopani copper mines, and then it has had operational challenges. There hasn't been enough liquidity for it to continue operating optimally. So the combination of Mopani and KCM together mean that you're losing production, which you should have then been using as a channel that brings in forex. So it's a combination of many factors that has caused us to have low output in the mines, and then low inflows of foreign exchange. And while the copper mining is not the only one, the other sectors, the other production sectors have also not been performing well, or not taken advantage of the market out there. So the mining sector is the singular most contributor to highest contributor to forex earnings of this country. And when you have disturbance in that sector, you expect that there's going to be an effect on your foreign exchange reserves, and also the rate of exchange. So you're caught in between a rock and a hard place. You make this decision to try and get more out of your cow, and again at the same time you emaciate your cow. You starve your cow because you want to get more. So you take out too much nutrition from it, then you kill it. So we need to be careful how we balance up our policies. And for now, we are seeing more investments, pronounced investments in the mining sector, and actually a lot of activities in opening up new mining or increasing capacities in some of the existing mines that is supposed to result in future in increased output, hoping that also the price is going to remain relatively stable at where it is. But we know that commodity prices fluctuate.
So well, our dear viewers, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show interview, and our guest is Zali Chikuba, is a ZIPA Senior Researcher Fellow. And in case you are just joining us, you haven't missed much, you can still join us. And also remember to always leave us those messages. We'll be glad to hear from you. Now, moving on, my follow-up question to this would be, there's been a general concern by Zambians that should Zambians be spectators in the mining sector, or they need to make sure they also have a hand? Because there's also other arguments that these multinational mining firms hardly even save their monies in our banks, and that tends to also affect our economy, because with the level of activities in the mining sector, we should be able to see quite a larger contribution towards us earning more dollars.
Yeah, I think that's a fair concern on the Zambians, that we are largely spectators in the mining sector. So it shouldn't remain like that forever. We need to begin to take interest and stake in mining operations in the country. And for me, the artisanal and small-scale mining operations need to be predominantly by Zambians. That is my desire. So I was very excited when the Ministry of Mines had announced that there was going to be a review of the licenses that had been issued, and I hope that that was really done. That the more licenses were going to be given to the citizens, and that those foreigners that would want to operate in this sector, they should partner with us. And that way we are retaining more of the profits from the mines within this country. That way we have a lot of spillover effects within the economy, because when I get that, I'm going to demand more from my neighbor who is producing meat, who's producing maize, who's producing whatever commodity. Mm-hmm. So, but you know, what has happened is that we sometimes don't understand the dynamics in the mining sector. So we do have this feeling. I have talked to people that have told me that why don't we grab all the mines and own them as a country? We forget that mines do not just, it's not just a matter of getting a machine and operating it. There is financing behind. So the international financing architecture also may not be favorable. So if you and I went to approach maybe the European Investment Bank and say we want to operate a mine, they'll ask me, what is your track record of mining? Then if FQM went to the same bank, European Investment Bank, and say we want the same quantity of money, we want to operate a mine in Zambia, who will the European Investment Bank give the money? Mm-hmm. This is the international financing architecture that we have. They look for track record. So they may not give me the money as a Zambian, but they may give FQM, because FQM has built a track record. So sometimes we need to be able to balance up our expectations. For the large-scale mines, yes, you will see quite a lot of foreign investment in that area because of the track record issue. We didn't build sufficient track record. We ran our own mines a long time ago, but we ran them down. Mm-hmm. So what confidence does a banker have in you running a large mining operation and financing you, and that you will pay back, and that it will not just be sunk capital? Mm-hmm. So these are things that we need to, but it's possible. And I've seen Zambian industrialists coming up. And I think we need to help those Zambian entrepreneurs that want to go into that area. And I think government needs to identify a few that we can promote. Yes. Deliberately identify a few that have proven themselves, move them to the next level, and just like that, when they have succeeded at that level, move. But we shouldn't expect that government should just promote someone from here to the highest level, because again, there's a risk of failure. Mm-hmm. So gradually grow your entrepreneurs with deliberate support. Yes. You mentioned an interesting aspect of tracing, of empowering our own little by little, because the argument also has been that, for example, if you see China, most entities that have invested in countries like Zambia have a support of their country. So the European Union itself is supporting its members, yes, its citizens to come to Zambia and invest. Why shouldn't Zambia invest in its people and build the necessary capacity to the extent that they're able to go and invest in Malawi?
So we should be able to see Zambian investor growing big locally, then going to invest in other countries.
Yes, that is what should be happening. And but you see, even those Chinese corporations that are operating in Zambia with backing of government, they didn't start yesterday. It was gradual steps. They made sure that they built capacities in those corporations. They are moving up and up. They didn't just get born and came to Zambia. They were born, got tried and tested, and then when they had built this capacity, human resource, capital-wise, technology-wise, then they launched them, and business management-wise, they launched them out. So when they come here, you hardly see technological challenges, you hardly see business management challenges in their operations. When it comes to cost control, the Chinese corporations that are building roads, you say in Wakaso, but it's management, it's cost control. They know exactly what targets of profits they ought to have, the product of the output they ought to have. They will not allow you to steal the cement and compromise the output because you have stolen the cement. The product is already pre-specified. They will give you the right product that you have demanded at the cost that you have done it. So it's baby steps. Let's gradually grow our artisanal small-scale miners, even those that have gone beyond that level, that Zambian. Let's be deliberate, grow them, give them opportunities. Let them partner with foreigners who will come and bring the technology, the management know-how, and then we can learn from them, and then we can graduate.
Tell us about the forum that will be held tomorrow.
So the Eminent Persons Forum is going to be looking at the prospect of mining in Zambia, because we do recognize that mining is going to be a bedrock of the Zambian economy for a long time to come. Just look at Mopani Copper Mine itself. Beaten as it is right today, it employs in the excess of over 15,000 people. So you can imagine just one enterprise, one corporation, 15,000 people. That is a lot of impact on the economy. They are the largest single contributor to the company income tax, the mining sector. And so we know that if we grow this sector, there are a lot of potentials that the liquidity challenges that the government is facing today are going to be overcome. There's a lot of potential that the foreign exchange pressures that we're feeling today are going to be, I think, a thing of the past if we grew our mining sector expediently. Now, we do have Zambians that have ventured into entrepreneurship in the mining sector, and we would like to hear them tell the story. We are bringing to the discussion Dr. Sixtus Mlenga. He is a Zambian entrepreneur. He has worked severally in mining. He's a geologist, mining geologist. So he has worked severally in the sector in Zambia, outside Zambia, and he is running his own mine.
I have to interrupt you before you proceed. Just hold on to us what we have a call. Hello, you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, may we have your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm Simba calling from Mufulira.
Mufulira. Okay, you can go ahead with your contribution, sir. I will end in.
We are more than 50,000 but today we are less than 7 years power. Two, that some production here is production. You know, of course, we are now Now, I'm a program with the day of Piramidal demo. I should think of them. I'm not supposed to be on the It's not a bit by now in a wanga by there. Like I have in the hand that's in the car. You're yes, looking into that line to be in their family. If you're in the room and a couple of just that, to have a mind, you guys look at him more, they're all in damn by. But look, there are she for a moment, and a quick half a mind go to the children as you see. Don't you more room, you are cutting stock, you cut people. Because some of the parts that walk and then you have to and you have the one government. Walk your process back at the by the government. Muna mwana shimani kwa tutanzia machito nile roza tumtanga na kapopa ululewe na financial to people they will resign every day but the government really fought for that more than takuti kwa short term ama manager yataka tumugodi otumulero ndirata upanga production minga kama bakora manager zishuma kuza if me am operator economy for india for 6,000 but manager for 150 190 na neno wa 16 leo ndio operator kama ingia sababu sana ndio temos ndio temos kwa kwa government na tuwe kwa
So I think the take home is about the plight of miners.
And also what are the short-term measures? Because he claims that you sound like what you're talking about are long-term measures. Now, in the short term, because we are suffering as miners, those of us that go into the pits, as opposed to our managers. Our managers are doing well, but we're being told there's no money. But where is the money that the managers are getting? So what is the short-term, what are the short-term solutions to the challenges that the sector is facing?
All right. I think the problem with operations like mines, they hardly have many short-term measures. But I'm aware that to overcome the operation challenges of Mopani, the government got, I think, $15 million loan. The government guaranteed a $15 million loan to Mopani from one of the local banks. I think it should be, if I'm not mistaken, it should be Atlas Mara recently. Now, it is not profits. It is not from what they have produced that they are being paid. It is a loan. So it is to facilitate the mine to continue in operations, because if you shut it, to move it from zero, it will be more costly than to keep it at that level of maintenance. So you cannot start increasing salaries on borrowed monies. You have to maintain it until you have found a sustainable solution. You see, government could run a mine, but do we really have the expertise? Mopani here is a case. Mopani was got in 20 what? We bought the shares in Mopani when, and from Alistair. We got it. We bought it $1.5 billion from Alistair. Recently, I think I was 2020 or 2021. I can't remember exactly. But since then, have we been able to operate Mopani profitably? No. It has been running on a basket case, as a basket case all this time. So these are the issues that I'm saying. Build your enterprise, local enterprise gradually. Don't drop it. You just lift somebody and drop them at the top. You build the capacities gradually. So this is a demonstration of what I was just talking about. We are still injecting money into Mopani, and the government has said, let's look for a strategic partner to help with the operations of Mopani. And I don't know what is holding, because I think in October the government said that they are almost closing in on that strategic partner. I think that was in October. So I'm not sure if there's a new position at the moment. But I think we need to move quicker so that we can have more realistic injections of capital to get the mine off this ground where it is now and get back. But even when the new strategic partner comes, it's not automatic that the production will just rise and then there's going to be a lot of revenue in the thing. there are a lot of investments that have to be made to get the mine off the ground and start to do well. You know, the lead times for mining investments are not short, unfortunately. We have to stay that course a little while, and the government is putting in these injections to try and maintain. That's a loan that the Mopani is running on. Right now.
As ZIPA, do you equally advise the government that people feel like more policies are pro-foreigners as opposed to pro-citizens? I'll give you an example of, for example, the electric car vehicle arrangements. Let's say with the coming of electric vehicles, there's a general perspective that countries that have these minerals that are used in the manufacturing of these vehicles stand a huge chance to benefit. But is Zambia developing the right frameworks to make sure that it benefits from this boom in the electric vehicles, manufacturing vehicles? Because there's a feeling that our minerals will continue to be exported in their raw form, and we may not get the much needed benefit. Why not invite those who are supposed to manufacture those vehicles to the country so that they partner with the Zambian government and be able to export these vehicles to other countries?
All right. We have advised government severally again that we need to onshore production in terms of copper. We have talked about copper value addition way back, and we still continue to talk about this. But we must also be alive that EVs are not a very new phenomenon. From the time that the EV drive or movement started, what have we done before even the government started promoting investment in value addition recently? It's only about 2 years that the government started promoting. But that's not when the EVs movement started. It started about 10 years way back when it started being real industry. We started seeing vehicles on the road. What has a single Zambian entrepreneur done about it? So there are certain things that we need to be alive to. These industries, they have standards that you need to build capacities in. If I produced a battery today, I could sell it maybe to my family. If I brought it to your house, will you buy it? It's written Zali battery. Or when you find Zali battery and the X-side battery, which one will you buy? You might want to buy X-side battery. So why? Because X-side has a proven record. They have these things have standards. They have in production there are standards like ISO standards. You have to domesticate those in the production. So it's not a one-day thing. And now the government is promoting electric vehicle component manufacture. They are not saying only foreigners. They are promoting this industry. And I think this is one message that must be driven clearly. I have looked at this and closely, and it's not being promoted to foreigners. The foreigners are being told to come and partner with Zambians, but they are being also requested to come and bring their capital. Why? Because there are certain standards that have already been built and the capital already exists out there. Technology already exists out there. So why not leverage on something that exists already while you mobilize the rest domestically? So you need an anchor industry. So if you're going to go serious into this industry, you need to be able to lure, for instance, if you lure Tesla to come and build, then you can have a satellite industry that is Soko battery that feeds into Tesla. You get the Tesla certification, you produce for Tesla, you supply to Tesla. Tesla has a global market. Or you get another one maybe from China. They start to produce there, then you are producing your 15 batteries per month, they're producing 1,000. Your 15 batteries you are putting into as part of their stock, then when they export, yours is also exported. So we need to be very strategic. We shouldn't just wait that the government is going to come and knock at our door and say, can you go and manufacture batteries? Let's, as entrepreneurs, let's see those opportunities. If we have the qualifications, the the know-how in those areas. Let's look at those opportunities. Let's knock. ZDA has been having conferences around this, this and workshops around this EV industry, and I see a lot of people participating. I hope that Zambians are going to step forward and say, I also want to be part of this movement.
Interesting. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, so I'll just request you to give us your concluding remarks.
My concluding remarks is that the mining sector will remain the bedrock of the Zambian economy, and there are obligations on the government to conclude a certain, I think, certain decisions, especially on Mopani. We know that KCM, the Vedanta, has been given back the resource. The matter has been withdrawn from the court. That gives them leverage, I think, to begin new investments. And maybe 5 years from now, we should see something substantive coming out of that operation. And also, Mopani shouldn't delay to move from where it is going up. But more importantly, we must begin to see more local entrepreneurs taking interest in the mining sector. And government has been emphasizing that we want the local entrepreneurs to hold their licenses and partner with the foreign entrepreneurs. So as the government is doing the promotions, let the local entrepreneurs begin to position themselves to offer credible alternate opportunities for these investors, foreign investors, to partner with them. Let us also, I think, unlock the non-traditional mining sector. I think there are gold mines that have been frozen for quite a while now, and gold production has gone down. Sojilite is still an outstanding matter, and I think that the government needs to expedite the process of unleashing these mining activities. Tomorrow, we have the Eminent Persons Forum, and it will be broadcast live on Facebook, on our Facebook page. And we do have something circulating on our Facebook page. You can just get the link, register, and participate in the discussion. Dr. Sixtus Mlenga, one of the most prominent entrepreneurs in the mining sector, running his own manganese mine or mining operation, and has a lot of interest in other mining areas. He's going to talk about the real experiences of local investors in the mining sector. I think we need to take interest. A lot of Zambians need to learn from him. How did he manage to get there? How did he navigate the atmosphere to be where he is? What else does he say that the government should do so that we can all rally behind him and advocate for the leveling of the playing field and bettering of the mining environment? I think we must take interest in that.
Thank you very much for gracing our screens today, and we appreciate and we hope you honor our invitation when we call you again.
It will be a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, our dear viewers, have been in conversation with Zal Chikuba, who is a ZIPA Senior Researcher Fellow. ZIPA in full is the Zambia Institute for Policy Analysis and Research. So this is where we have to call it a day on the Camnet Breakfast Show. But remember to join Prudence Trotter tomorrow with a business for breakfast. This has been Patrick Soko and Makokwa Kozi. Keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel.